It's the 18th of March and Formula 1 has arrived in Melbourne for the 2012 season, which would prove to be one of the greatest Formula 1 seasons of all time. The world champions are Sebastian Vettel and Red Bull, looking to extend their run of dominance and win their third world championship in a row. 2007 world champion Kimi Räikkönen has returned to the sport after 2 years out, driving for the Lotus F1 Team. And with the addition of Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso and Jenson Button on the grid, there are a total of 6 world champions, ready to give the fans of the sport one of the most competitive seasons of racing ever seen in Formula 1. And although at the start of the current Formula 1 season we're watching the same driver win time and time again, the 2012 season would do the exact opposite and start off with a bang.
And it's lights out and away we go!
Yes! 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 We did it!
The start of the 2012 season was one of the most electrifying periods in the sport's history, and one that may never be repeated again, with 7 different race winners in the first 7 races.
It's 7 out of 7 different winners in 2012.
Turning up to a race weekend with no idea who would end up on the top step of the podium had a level of excitement that hooked fans right from the get-go. And the championship was wide open from the very start of the season, with multiple title contenders from a number of different teams. Both McLaren drivers, both Red Bull drivers, and Fernando Alonso had already won races to kick the season off, and Formula 1 had its newest race winner in Nico Rosberg. But out of all those races, it was the 2012 Spanish Grand Prix that would give us the most unpredictable race winner in years, and provide us with a race to remember.
And away we go here in Barcelona. It's a decent start for Maldonado. It's now going to be 5 out of 5. Another different winner. A new winner in Formula 1. It's Pastor Maldonado ahead of Fernando Alonso.
At the 2012 Spanish Grand Prix, Pastor Maldonado would take a stunning win for Williams, which sent shockwaves throughout the entire Formula 1 paddock and the motorsport world. In qualifying, the Venezuelan would take pole position after Lewis Hamilton was disqualified from the session. And although Fernando Alonso took the lead at the start of the race, an excellent strategy from Williams saw Maldonado jump the Spaniard in the pits and go on to take his first and only win in the sport. Pastor Maldonado had become the first ever Venezuelan winner and provided Williams with their first win since 2004. And on the top step of the podium, Maldonado would be hauled onto the shoulders of the other podium finishers, who were third place Kimi Räikkönen and the home hero Fernando Alonso in second, who going into the middle of the season would start to light up the championship with Ferrari. Before the summer break, Fernando Alonso would start to take a hold of the championship, putting in some fantastic performances for Ferrari, which would see the Spaniard consistently finishing in the top 5. Despite the team having a shocking start to the 2012 season, Fernando Alonso would start putting his Ferrari in positions far beyond the car's capabilities, winning the Malaysian Grand Prix from 9th place,
Fernando Alonso and Ferrari back on top of the podium,
and producing one of his most memorable races ever in Valencia, winning from an incredible 11th place in front of an adoring home crowd.
and comes home to win the Grand Prix of Europe. It's Fernando Alonso for a second time.
No matter where he lined up on the grid, Fernando Alonso was a threat to everyone else in the championship, with outstanding racecraft that would see the Spaniard take a ginormous lead going into the summer break. But at the first race back at the Belgian Grand Prix, disaster would strike for Alonso, after a catastrophic event occurred that would prove to be monumentally significant in the title race. Going into the back end of the season, Fernando Alonso had taken a hold of the championship ahead of both Red Bull drivers and Lewis Hamilton, who desperately needed a way back into the title fight. And after qualifying, the Spaniard would line up in 6th, ahead of all his rivals looking to extend the gap at the top of the table. But although it seemed like it was going to be another good result for Alonso, something was about to happen that would change the tide in the title race. At the first corner of the race, the championship leader would be taken out, crashing out of the race and DNFing. Further down the field, Romain Grosjean would dangerously pull over on Lewis Hamilton, resulting in a multi-car crash occurring at turn 1. And Alonso's Ferrari would be taken out in the process, seeing his championship lead cut down to just 24 points. Although Fernando Alonso's title hopes had been dented in the incident, the crash would absolutely crush Lewis Hamilton's hopes of winning a second title with McLaren. And after the race, the Brit would make an announcement that would send shockwaves throughout the entire Formula 1 paddock.
The Formula 1 racing driver Lewis Hamilton has left the British racing team McLaren and signed for their rivals Mercedes.
Lewis Hamilton is set to leave McLaren.
Just after the Belgian Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton would make a shock move to midfield team Mercedes for the 2013 season. A seemingly insane decision to move away from a championship frontrunner to a team who had recorded just one win in the last 3 years.
It's Nico Rosberg who wins in China.
Despite McLaren coming out as favourites to win the title at the first race in Australia, the team's performance would slowly tail off throughout the 2012 season, which saw a sour relationship develop between the British outfit and Hamilton.
Alonso's gone through and it's another calamitous stop for Lewis Hamilton in 2012.
After a series of mistakes made by the team over the season, Hamilton's frustrations had become obvious, publicly tweeting out against the team on a number of occasions. With his move to Mercedes, Hamilton would take the seat of 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher, who after a 3-year stint with the team would officially retire from Formula 1 for the second time after coming back to the sport in 2010.
At some point, it's good to say goodbye, and it might this time even be forever.
During his last season in Formula 1, Schumacher had displayed some inconsistent but at times brilliant driving, with a podium in Valencia and a shock pole position at his final Monaco Grand Prix.
What a little start. Pole position. Well done, Michael. Fantastic.
But despite these incredible performances by Michael Schumacher, going into the back end of the 2012 season, it was another German who was creating all of the storylines. Going into the back end of the season, Sebastian Vettel would enter an unprecedented run of form, winning all 4 Asian races in a row at the Singapore Grand Prix, Japanese Grand Prix, Korean Grand Prix, and Indian Grand Prix.
It's Sebastian Vettel who has led from start to finish and wins the Indian Grand Prix.
In just 4 races, the reigning world champion had gone from 39 points behind Alonso to 13 points in front and leading the title race. An extraordinary comeback, helped by Fernando Alonso's crucial DNF at the Japanese Grand Prix.
Look, there goes the Ferrari off the track. It's a dreadful start this spinning round.
Despite being counted out for most of the season, Vettel had come back in incredible fashion. And after 2 more podiums, including one from the pit lane in Abu Dhabi, he had a 13-point championship lead going into the final race at the Brazilian Grand Prix, which would go down as one of the most epic title deciders of all time. Going into the season finale at Interlagos, Fernando Alonso needed to finish on the podium to have any chance of winning the title, and a finish of 4th or better for the reigning champion Vettel would see him crowned the 2012 Formula 1 World Champion. After an incredible year of competition with 8 different race winners, the 2 championship protagonists were ready to compete for the final time in 2012. With Vettel starting in 4th and Alonso starting in 7th, many expected Vettel to walk the race from the start and win the title with ease. But on lap 1, drama would strike for Red Bull.
Oh, look, it's a Red Bull! It's a Red Bull! It's Sebastian Vettel in the middle of the track! It's the worst possible scenario for Sebastian Vettel!
At turn 4, Vettel was taken out by Bruno Senna, which blew the championship wide open, with the German falling back to last place and sustaining damage to the left side of his car. And on the very next lap, many believed that the championship was going to go the way of Alonso and Ferrari, after the Spaniard pulled off an incredible double overtake to take 3rd in the race.
And here goes Fernando Alonso down the inside, and Alonso has put himself up into the podium positions.
With Alonso up in the podium places and Vettel down in last, Fernando would win his 3rd world title if the race finished as it was. But despite having a damaged car, Sebastian Vettel refused to give up.
Fastest lap of the race so far, Sebastian Vettel in 20th place. Stay tuned, this is far from over.
With Alonso making up places, Vettel would have to finish 7th or higher to take the title, which became even more difficult when a wrong tyre choice and broken radio saw the German pit twice in 2 laps.
It's a horrible stop for Sebastian Vettel. It all went wrong for Red Bull. He came into the pits
but no tyres were ready for him.
Due to the contact at the start and the error in the pits, Vettel would have to make up a total of 31 places to get back to 6th place in the race. And after Paul di Resta crashed in the dying laps of the race, the 2012 season would finish under the safety car, with Alonso in 2nd and Vettel in 6th, crowning Sebastian Vettel a 3-time Formula 1 world champion.
You're the world champion! You're the triple world champion, Sebastian Vettel! You are the man! You're a triple world champion!
Despite a heroic season from Alonso, who had given absolutely everything to win the title with Ferrari, Sebastian Vettel had come out on top, becoming the 3rd ever man to win 3 world championships in a row, and had put his name among the greatest ever in Formula 1, reigning victorious in arguably the most competitive Formula 1 season of all time. Formula 1 in 2012 had given us fans some of the best racing action we'd ever seen, and at the end of it, Vettel and Red Bull were crowned champions of one of the most dramatic Formula 1 seasons of all time.